So, to everybody that listens to the show Famously Unfamous, what we did tonight is we merged my podcast with Mental Health Mondays with Brittney, my good friend, and we're going to talk about some things tonight that really hit home and that's been very prevalent in today's society. We're going to be talking about suicide and depression. It's a very real topic. It's not a lot of things that, it's not a lot of information on this topic, or it may be a taboo topic personally that people really don't want to talk about, because we all go through cycles of depression, loneliness, anxiety, things like that we really don't want to divulge the information. But we have a certified counselor here who's going to walk us through the process and realize that, you know what, you are not alone.
Amen.
So, Brittney, how are you tonight?
I'm blessed.
Good. Well, Brittney is a really good friend of mine, of the show's. I'm really excited to be here with her. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got involved with Christian counseling, and what is Imagination Beautiful?
That's okay. So, like you said, I'm a licensed counselor in Tennessee and Georgia. All my Mental Health Monday peeps, y'all know that already. Appreciate y'all. And I don't know, this whole counseling thing has been an interesting journey, but essentially at this juncture, I've been doing it a while, like 5 years, and I just kind of got to the point where I decided I wanted to merge faith and mental health. So that's where we at. So that's what we do on Mondays. And so Imagination Beautiful started when I was 25 as a blog, and now it's kind of developed more so into just kind of this place where faith and mental health come together, and we can talk about it and get rid of some of the shame and the stigmas and all the things that just keep people from really being healthy. So if you think about your imagination, right? We often relegate that to children and say, well, that's child's play. But the reality is that even as adults, we need our imagination in order to dream, to think up stuff. Somebody imagined all of this random stuff we got plugged up right now.
Exactly.
And especially when you're dealing with mental health issues, your imagination is heavily attacked, because that's where, when you have anxiety problems and all this stuff, all of these ideas and images come into your mind to tell you all these horrible things. Well, where do you think that's happening? In your imagination. So the big thing for Imagination Beautiful is the concept that when you give your imagination to the Lord, He will make it beautiful.
Awesome. Well, there you go. And that's who we're going to be talking to tonight. So if you're on Instagram Live, on my page, on Brittney's page, go ahead and tag somebody that needs to talk about this and just really wants to know more and more. Maybe not about this topic, but they want to know more about how the imagination works, what you may think and deem as not normal, which is all the stigma that goes around mental health. But it actually is something that everyone goes through on quite a regular basis in our society.
Well, if you think about it, we deem mental health as like cancer or something. But the reality is that if you have a mind, then the health of that mind is important. And that's one of the things that I try to always make sure I tell people is that, it's not just about, you think mental health is not just about depression, anxiety, whatever, which those things matter. We're going to talk about that. But it's also about just basically taking care of yourself. So you have a body, you take care of that.
Right.
You shower, hopefully. No, I'm just playing.
Hey.
But you know what I mean? You do things to take care of your body. You eat, you shower, you work out, you go to the doctor for your annual physical, all that kind of stuff. But then when it comes to the mind, we act like it's nothing, oh, I'll be fine, or oh, that's for somebody else, or oh, that's just crazy people, or oh, whatever. And the reality is that, something we all need.
Wow. So, how did you get started in this lane? Was this something that you went to high school, you got sat down with a guidance counselor, when you were young under the apple tree or something like that? People just came to you to talk to you about the problems. How did you get started in counseling?
So yeah, that's a loaded question.
Take your time. We got time.
Take your time.
Yep,
That's what the Baptist preachers say.
Hey, that's what we get.
But let me preface my answer with this. I think sometimes people see you in a profession and they see you where you are and they think, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or I don't know, what it is that will be fulfilling for me or whatever. But this is something that I really had to grow into. Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, I had a lot of issues. Like I went to a mental health hospital for suicidal thoughts. I went to counselors, a couple of them when I was in high school. And that's something I guess not everybody knows, but it's true now. It was rough. It was a rough couple of years, saints, okay? And so when I went to college, I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I wanted to help people. And so literally standing outside the library one day, I was like, I should go to grad school to be a counselor and then open up a nonprofit and help people who need mental health, who have mental health issues. And I was like, okay. That's it. It wasn't deep. Jesus didn't open up a cloud. Mary Magdalene didn't come down and say, hey girl, this is what I need to tell you. That was it. And so the application for grad school was due at 5 o'clock on March 1st. I turned it in at 4:30. It was still hot out the printer. I took the GRE like 6 or 7 months in advance, and I left the scores on my kitchen table, which were trash. They were trash. I left them on the table, and then on March 1st, I was like, oh, I guess I should turn all this in. And so, and when I got out of graduate school, I regretted my decision. I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna be able to do this. This is rough.
Did you feel like you weren't equipped to do it, or did you feel like most people feel that when they're trying to get to a certain place, they end up doubting themselves or giving themselves reasons why they can't do it, when in actuality it's just all in your head?
No, I just didn't like it.
You didn't like it? Okay.
It wasn't even that deep. I ain't like it. I'm a very outgoing person. I mean, anybody that knows me, y'all know that by now. So to sit in an office for 45 or 50 minutes with one person 5 or 6 times a day sounded like death to me. And so then to go and actually do it, I was just like, this ain't life. It couldn't have been life at that time. And so fast forward 5 years in, I think, for one, I couldn't figure out what else I could do. So I really struggled with that. And then when I moved to Atlanta, I tried to apply for different jobs that weren't in the counseling field. I was like, maybe this is my out. Maybe this is my chance to just be done with this. And the job I got was counseling. And I was like, okay, Jesus, that was cute. But, it's a good job, so I'll take it. Appreciate it. Because I was ready to come to Atlanta.
Right.
And so then one day, I went to a luncheon. I was like, I'm gonna take a day off work. I'm gonna go hang out with bougie people and do what bougie people do, and eat my tea and crumpets and listen to this world-class speaker in my, black skirt and stockings. You know what I'm saying? I wanted a bougie day.
Right.
And I volunteered so I didn't have to pay bougie prices. So it's the best way to do it, y'all. But anyway, so I get there. I show up to the volunteer booth, and I promise you, maybe after 20 or 30 minutes of being there, I was in the middle of a counseling session with the lady who I was supposed to be working with. She had cheated on her husband. She was divorced. She had suicidal thoughts in college. She still dealt with depression. It was a laundry list of stuff. And I was like, oh, you know what, Lord? I give up. I just wanted a day off to be bougie and enjoy some tea and crumpets for the free. And it's not working out for my life.
Wow.
So, I think people make purpose and career and all that stuff this big, drawn out, elaborate thing that's supposed to happen. But for me, it's really kind of unfolded as the Lord has sent reminders of this is really what you're supposed to be doing.
And I think there's hints of that out there.
Yeah.
Because what I like to hear is just a line that here's what you're good at. Here's what you're talented at. Okay, out of that, there are many ways to show that. If you're a great communicator, obviously counseling would be a field that you could explore if you're a great communicator, but you like helping people as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be this whole mysterious thing that no one can figure out.
Right.
You just have to really just be led.
Mm-hmm.
But
you just gotta go with it sometimes. I mean,
that's just you're very clean cut, very dry, as far as it was just boom, boom, I was here. Even when you try to run from it, it was like, it's right here. Mm-hmm. So that's a great end. And now you said 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm getting old, Channing. 5
years in, we all are. We all are. You can see my gray hairs on here. 5 years in now, what is it that you have? What point have you come to that you wish you would have known once you first started?
That's a good question.
That's why I'm an interviewer.
Again. Well, welcome to Mental Health Monday. Amen. To be honest, I think the answer is nothing. And I guess that's a shocking, maybe not shocking for some people, but I think sometimes we look back over our life and we think, well, if I had known this, and if I had just done this, and if I had done that. And I've chased that rabbit hole, and I get stuck in that rabbit hole often. Mm-hmm. If I can just be honest. Hey, y'all. Hey, Saints. Y'all better be in the building. But I get stuck in that rabbit hole often of like, what? Like, maybe if I had done this would have been different. Or if I had known this, that would have been different. But I think that I don't wish I would have known anything different. Because I needed that. I needed those moments where I felt miserable and where I felt like, why did I choose this? And I just want out and I don't want to do this. Because without those moments, I wouldn't be able to appreciate these. So now I can see on my schedule where I got 5 clients and I'm like, okay, Lord, this is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. You know, like if I'm tired, give me strength. If I'm sleepy, you know, can I catch a 20-minute nap during my lunch and make this happen? Mm-hmm. And be able to really see it as an opportunity to pour into somebody versus like I don't feel like it. Right. But I think in those moments, I wouldn't have been able to understand that because like I've gone into sessions before when I first started, and this is normally just counselor humor, like you would never tell anybody this because people think, well, you're a counselor, you're supposed to love the people. Honey, I'm a person. Amen. And so I've gone into sessions before when I first started where I was just like, bruh, like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm sleepy, I'm ready to go. My coworkers get on my last nerve. I don't want to have to look at them. Like, I hope this takes me 15, 20 minutes max, and I'm out this thing.
Right.
And then I get like 5 minutes into a session, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? Right. So I needed those moments to be able to like walk through it to now like appreciate it and look for. Like I have clients that I look forward to seeing. You know, like even now working at a college, like we're on summer break, but there's some people I'm like, Lord, I hope they summer went well. Now Jesus, you know, it's a little rough. Right. You know what I mean? And it's not a all the time constant thing, but yeah, you need some stuff, and that's a part of mental health. Sometimes you got to just you need it.
It's all about being honest.
Yes.
And being transparent enough to say I need help. Right. Mm-hmm. That's what's up. So what we're really talking about tonight is suicidal thoughts, depression, and anxiety. And from your perspective, and where you see society is. So we see people, how y'all doing? We're on social media, right? We're going to upload this with technology. We have technology all around here. We got camera over here, camera right here, camera out here, you know, microphone, things like that promotes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a good use of social media, right? But now you have comparisons, you have competition, you have all those things at a thumb click away, basically. Mm-hmm. How does that play a part in suicidal thoughts, depression, and anxiety more than it has in previous years?
Well, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, we always, you know, talk about how social media is like a highlight reel and all this other kind of stuff. But the reality is that I don't know that depression and anxiety have been around forever, right? So social media has not taken depression and anxiety and multiplied it. It's only put a camera to it.
Okay.
So instead of somebody sitting in their room by themselves flipping through a magazine feeling depressed, now, that would have been 1985. Now they sitting in the room on Instagram feeling depressed.
Right.
Now we have seen an increase in numbers as far as like mental health issues, but the reality is that, like, especially for students coming into college, they're coming with much more mental health awareness. So you got kids coming to college that's been seeing a therapist since they were 5.
Oh.
Versus back in the day when you just got to figure it out.
Right.
So like the buzzword in my world right now is resilience. And how do we teach this generation to be more resilient? So while the numbers are increasing, some of this stuff is a resiliency issue and not necessarily a clinical diagnosis issue. And that's where people miss the mark, because you may very well be going through something mentally, emotionally, all of that kind of stuff, but you may not have a clinical diagnosis.
Right.
And I mean, that's kind of for, I guess for me to decide, if you will. But we miss that because somebody may be going through something. You be like, well, child, he crazy. And it's like, no, they may really just be going through a rough spot. It doesn't mean that nobody's crazy per se. But you get what I'm saying. Like,
right,
just in street terms, it don't mean that they DSM certifiable.
Right. So that's leading into my next point. Do you feel like in this present society, like you said, people have been counseled since they were 5. Do you feel like people have been over counseled for topics that they just need to go through in life to learn?
I think people have been over pacified.
Oh, okay.
So I have a reputation in the office that if somebody needs somebody who means business, who's straightforward, this what it is, this what it ain't, they send them to me. Like, I don't have time to be like, oh, sweet baby, just, ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
And it's not that I don't love the people and care about them, but what I've learned is that something has happened where nowhere in their life they've been given boundaries to recognize that what they're saying is ridiculous.
Oh.
And so I'm not afraid to be like, nope. Like, and I have moments where somebody will say something and I'm like, I'll fight myself and be like, B, shut up. And then I'm like, nope, I can't be quiet. Let's do this. And I just have to go for it. And anybody who said in a therapy session with me, a counseling session with me, anything knows that that's true. Because I may wait 2 or 3 minutes and let you really say that. And then I'm going to be like, yeah, that ain't gonna work. Cause that's what anxiety and depression does. It distorts our thinking and creates these false beliefs, and we take them on as truth, and then you can't function in the way that you would be able to. Like, you can't live your best life. Okay. Because you out here believing lies.
So So walk us through how you as a counselor, just to, in a brief time while we're here, can pull back those layers or help people discover how they can pull back those layers of distortion to get to.
Oh, that's good. That's good, Chad. I see you. That's good now. How do you pull back the layers of distortion? I'm gonna have to write that down.
It's all good. It's all good.
I ain't never really thought about it like that.
I watched YouTube earlier.
Okay. YouTube blessed you.
There you go.
The layers of distortion. That's real. Okay, y'all. Now that I have that written down, I've taken my notes for the evening. The only thing that I can use to paint that picture is my own struggle with anxiety. And my Mental Health Monday crew, y'all know I'm very transparent and open because I feel like honesty is the only way that people can get healed. I'm a firm believer in that. So I think the only way you can pull back the layers of distortion is to, first of all, like, confront it, right? And so it takes a certain level of wisdom to do that, and you have to know yourself well enough. Like, I know that there's boundaries to my wisdom, right? So when there's things that I can't process for myself, I had a counseling appointment this morning. How about that? Shout out to Dr. Andrika Pete. That's my girl. She'll get you right now. Amen. She will take your life and do this. Gathered. Okay? But you need those people.
You need that.
You need to be gathered.
Yeah.
So like I said something to her today, because you sit in your own head long enough, you start to believe foolish things. And so I sat in her office today and I said something and she was like, run that back. That's how you pull back the layers on those distortions. But you got to be honest about them. And like I started to say something else to her, but I was kind of like going in circles and she was like, nah, just spit it out. Spit it out, because you're running in circles and I need you to come on and say that. And so you first of all, you need somebody in your life that will do that. Whether you go to therapy, whether it's your best friend, whatever that thing is, whoever that person is, you need that. And then also, for me, I think writing stuff down is really healthy.
Right.
So I may write something down, like in my journal or whatever, and I may get to a certain point and be like, now, that don't even add up. Or I may write something down and then think, because you're thinking while you're writing, hopefully.
Right.
And so I may be writing something down and think something and then be like, come on back. But you have to be willing to call yourself on that, And the reason why I mention writing, I tell all my clients that they need to journal in some capacity, because we do a lot of this and then we do a lot of this all day. And writing is such an old school manual process that your brain has to literally slow down. Like, I can't write faster than I think.
Wow. That makes sense.
That makes sense. It's not possible. I can type faster than I think.
Right.
A little bit. I can just do it. Or I could just, text something real quick or whatever. But to actually sit down and write and be considerate in what I'm saying, I gotta really Right. And so I think you need that. But that's good. Pull back the layers of distortion. And we don't even realize how many faulty beliefs we carry with us. So you have to be really cognizant and aware and intentional about doing self-reflection. And questioning yourself on why you do things the way you do them, and what do you want to change. So if you're not happy with something in your life, that's the quickest way. I've said a lot. Last point. If you're not happy with something in your life, challenge and question yourself as to why you keep that thing around. And that will expose some level of faulty belief in your world.
Got you.
Yeah.
So, going to the next question here. Out of the 4, I believe it is, you're the professional here. Out of the 4, what do you call it? Personalities? Yeah, the 4 personalities.
Oh, the quadrant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 personalities, who have you experienced, or what personality have you experienced can fall into this state the quickest or the easiest?
Can fall into what state?
Suicidal thoughts or depression,
okay.
Things like that. And for people who don't know what the quadrant is, just briefly explain that from your professional expertise.
So essentially, it just kind of maps out different personality traits and different thank you, girl. Hey, Saints. It just maps out different personality traits, different characteristics. I ain't gonna lie to you, Shannon, I've not looked at that quadrant since I was in grad school. So I'm trying to think about what I know I can see it. Right. But I don't know that I can serve it to the saints. I don't know that I'm able to do that. That's good information to have.
That's fine. You have the
let me see. I got my laptop right here.
You have the caloric, the sanguine, the you have the caloric.
Shannon hit me with the flex. He hit me with the flex, y'all.
In the the 2 other ones, you have the very direct person. And then you have the partner type person. We just want to get along.
Yep. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. So, okay. Gotcha. So, essentially, let me say this. First of all, I think it will take a researcher to fully answer that question of which one falls more so into. Because then you get into percentages and DNA, genetics, environments, all that kind of stuff. So, but I think different personality types cause you different issues.
Gotcha.
So, like, I see a lot of my type A personality, dominant, your leaders, that sort of stuff, they struggle with anxiety really, really bad because they're control freaks and everything has to be a certain way and it has to go a certain way. And it has to be like this. And so because life doesn't work like that,
right,
they freak out. And then you got your people pleasers that you mentioned. Those people are oftentimes more susceptible to like depression because they're so busy trying to please everybody else. There's nothing here. And so what happens is you have like these like self-esteem issues or whatever because you're waiting on your next praise from somebody. So if I live my life waiting on you to tell me job well done or I appreciate you, what happens is they get connected to these very narcissistic, manipulative people who then take advantage of it and use that to perpetuate their own, like pompous attitude. Okay. And then this person, the perfect mathematical equation for an abusive relationship.
Gotcha.
And there's a book for that. So if anybody out there struggles with codependency, because that's what it's called, then there's a book called Codependent No More. A lot of therapists highly recommend it to help people get out of those type of situations. So it would be hard for me to say what personality type does more. I'm sure that information is out there. But each personality type kind of opens the door for different things.
Gotcha. So, as you're just going along, is there a hidden part to suicidal thought? Can it be outwardly? Because we see so many times. Take for instance, the two most popular here in recent was Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade, where you read the reports. And Kate Spade says that she was on antidepressants, and later on it found out that her marriage wasn't doing that well after 20 some odd years. But with Anthony Bourdain, there was no sign of any antidepressants. He wasn't speaking to anyone as far as a counselor or anything like that. Just decided today was the day.
That's extremely common. Yeah.
So, is there any outward where so many people who knew them closely said, "I had no idea. He didn't seem the part." Can a normal person recognize that in someone who they closely associate with, or can even someone like yourself, a professional, recognize that in a person?
So, one of the things they teach you when you go through school to do something like this is that So it's tricky. It's hard to explain it because, I don't even know where to start. Let me just say what I was going to say. How about that? That's usually where people start. Amen. So the scariest person is not necessarily the person that comes sit in your office. When I say scary, not scary as in like frightening for me, but scary for like them they're going to do something to harm themselves. Right. It's not the person that comes to sit in your office. It's the person that never says a word. And there's how do you control that, right? Like that is... Anybody that's a science person out here, that is a completely uncontrolled variable or whatever y'all say in science terms. Like there's just so much outside of our control in that type of situation.
Right.
So like in the Anthony Bourdain situation, people probably didn't know. They probably had no clue because he just kind of, he's something he dealt with. He internalized it. He held it in, and that's one of the reasons why I do this. And one of the reasons why I always tell people to be honest with somebody. And then you have other people, kind of like the Kate Spade situation, where I don't know if she did talk to somebody or didn't. I'm not totally for certain, but I don't think they said anything to the extent of like with Anthony Bourdain of just like not knowing. Right. I haven't heard anything like that. So. And in that case, she may have shown some signs, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you have to think about with people in your life, let's say you have somebody who is, I'll just use me for an example. I'm an extrovert. People know that. So if I were to start pulling away from people to like an unhealthy degree, so not just like hey, I need a weekend just to kind of be to myself. Right. I'm tired. Right. Or this week has been a long week. But like I've gone 2 or 3 weeks in like isolation, or maybe not even that long. Yeah, or like one day everything is good, and then on a Monday you can't find me. Right. Or you know what I mean? Like that's concerning. Mm-hmm. So any abrupt change in behavior to kind of simplify it. If you have somebody in your life and they make an abrupt change of behavior, that's not. It's one thing if somebody says, okay, on Monday I'm gonna start losing weight, or I'm gonna start reading more, and then they read a book for 6 hours. Like, that's fine,
right?
They may not be able to sustain that, but it's fine. Live your best life. But if somebody just does something like they quit their job all of a sudden, they start cashing out bank accounts, they give away like important things. Like, if I have something that I say, like, people know I don't play about my computer. Let's just use that for an example. And I just walk out here and give it away to somebody. That's concerning. Okay. Like, something is wrong. Okay. So like things like that, you have to be cautious of and talk to people. Like, that's what I don't understand. I'm not afraid. Well, my friends know. You come over here in Zion with some issues, we gonna talk about it. Okay. We not gonna just ski skirt over that and act like ain't nothing wrong. I want to know what's wrong, how long it's been wrong, how long it's gonna be wrong, what you gonna do to fix it. So.
And is that your natural inclination, or is that you as a counselor?
I think I've developed into that. Okay. I've always wanted to know and be supportive, but I think especially when I was younger, I had so many issues myself. I felt like I didn't have time to care. Oh, okay. And that's what holds a lot of people back from being invested, is because they think, well, I got my own problems and I have to figure it out, Right. And especially in communities of color, we're taught to just keep going. Right. And so I think now what I recognize is that I do the work to deal with my own issues so that I can be as present as possible for the people in my life.